Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me with my course. My name is Jessica Hooper, and I am currently a attorney, and I reside in the state of Florida. I am a licensed attorney in the state of Florida, and more importantly, I'm here to answer those questions for small business owners that are looking to start their own business. And there are some legal considerations that I want you guys to consider when starting your own business. I plan on making this presentation no more than about an hour long. Also, at the end of this presentation, there are going to be questions that I need you guys to answer. And those questions are going to be designed for you to take to your local attorney when you are ready so they can assist you and get the proper paperwork for your business and your business needs. Again, thank you, and let's get started. About me, as I said again, I am a licensed attorney in the state of Florida. I received my Juris Doctorate from the HBCU, Florida A&M College of Law. I'm currently an adjunct professor at Indian River State College, and I received my undergraduate degree from Florida State University. I have a degree in criminology, and I also have a minor in business administration. The course objectives of this is for you to learn the different types of business entities. Now I'm going to do a lot of coverage on that because I think that is the most confusing part of this course. What type of business entity should I choose for my business? And ultimately, will this be a great fit for the needs of my business? And whether or not that choice is a good choice for my business in the long run. Now, I have a couple of disclaimers here. I am so sorry ahead of time that I have a slight lisp that you might hear on the audio. I try my best to disguise it, but I'm going to try my best to speak as clearly as possible. Two, if you have any questions, I'm going to try to provide some information for you to reach out to me to clarify anything that might be said in this video. And if you need to take breaks, pause, rewind, or go back, please feel free to do so. I want you guys to learn as much as possible, okay? Course objective number 1, let's get started. Learn the different types of business entities. 2, learn the importance of choosing the correct business entity. 3, develop a checklist for your business. 4, consider legal issues that may arise. 5, at the end of this video, there's going to be a worksheet that helps you organize your business so you can go to the right attorney and get some help in assisting your business needs so you are shielded from liability or anything that may arise in the course of you doing business in the state of Florida. Of course, I'm doing general principles, but I will be Florida specific in this video, and I like to make that clear on the onset. Here is a quick disclaimer, guys. This is not designed to be legal advice. I am not giving it legal advice in this video. I am simply trying to inform you of the different types of entities so you can then go seek legal counsel. This is not a substitute for legal counsel. This is not a swap out for legal counsel. This is simply an informational video. All right, let's start with the different types of entities. First type of entity I'm going to talk about is the sole proprietorship. Next is going to be the S Corp. the C Corp, the limited liability, which is the most popular, the general partnership, the limited liability partnership, and the limited liability limited partnership. So, sole proprietor. A sole proprietor is a person who is solely owning the business on their own. So, an example of this would be you own a business, you are the sole owner of the business, you decide to open up a donut shop, you are investing in this business solely on your own, and you plan on operating this business solo. You plan on having no partners in this business, and also you don't plan to expand this business in the future. You plan to pretty much keep this a solo project that you are working on, okay? The sole proprietor is a natural person. So what you'll learn in the law is certain entities are considered persons under the law. A natural person is what it says in the name, a person who is a human being and not a corporate entity. The good thing about a sole proprietorship, it does not require filing with the state of Florida. And the business model is very simple. It's just you operating the business. You are not having to consult other people in the business. And there is not a whole bunch of paperwork that is required of you with the state of Florida. And there's not a whole lot of upfront costs for your business as far as filing fees. Of course, there are some drawbacks. As the sole owner of a sole proprietorship, you are personally liable for those business debts. Just you. And it is strongly discouraged form of business because of this reason. Also, this is not the best business for individuals looking to expand. Each county in the state of Florida also may have certain requirements depending on the profession, okay? General partnership. General partnerships are like the equivalents of a marriage, right? In a marriage agreement, you have two individuals contracting to work together for a common goal which is to maintain, run, and operate a family, right? That's the common goal in a marriage. Well, most marriages, right? So the common goal in a general partnership are two or more individuals seeking to act as partners or individuals with a common goal or a common mindset. Now, the state of Florida says that if you are acting as partners, even though you did not intend to create a general partnership, you can and may still be held out as a general partnership. So, as a rule of thumb, guys, if you have two or more individuals and you don't want to be held as a general partnership, I would highly suggest that you consider the other business models. The reason being because the person can be held personally liable. Partners can be held personally liable for debt, for business liability. So if something happens on your business, like if someone gets injured or harmed, let's say for instance, you own a partnership, it's you and your best friend, you are in the cooking business. The cooking business is doing well, and all of a sudden, someone gets really, really sick. I mean, extremely sick off one of your recipes. This person takes you to court and successfully sues. And guess what? You're personally liable for that damage. So, like the sole proprietorship, this is not the most popular business model. that I would recommend. Also, each partner has the right to manage and conduct business for the partnership. So that means your partner can bind the partnership even if you had no agreement to that particular act. Also, you guys are splitting the profits absent an agreement. And more importantly, for major business decisions, it requires all partners to agree. So, in the long run, this might not be the best business model depending on the business that you have, although it is the easiest and most simplest business to form next to a sole proprietorship. It does not require annual reporting, and it does not require filing with the state. So that is a pro. But of course, like I said earlier, yes, that's a pro, but the cons are very high at stake with this type of business, okay? The limited partnership and the limited liability limited partnership. So the model is similar to a general partnership, but the limited partner is shielded from personal debts. So remember the distinction I said. Remember what I said earlier? There's a distinction here. The limited partnership partner does not have personal liabilities for the debt, right? Or the liability that may be occurred in the business. However, in exchange for that protection, the limited partner does not have the right to bind the limited partnership. And certain actions require approval of all general members, absent an operating agreement or partnership agreement. A con to this is it's not much flexibility, and I see this business model work mostly with attorneys or medical professionals or professionals in general. This is the setup that they have because they're still responsible for their own liabilities, and they understand that, but it shields them in other aspects, right? Another thing is with this entity, it does require filing with the state, okay? All right, let's talk about the corporations. A corporation has three main actors. They have the shareholder. The shareholder is the investor of the company, and they do not deal with the day-to-day operations. The shareholders are essentially like the silent investor, and also they are the voters of this organization. So that means they vote in the directors of this organization, and the directors are responsible for running the corp. The corporation is required by the state of Florida to file what we call an Articles of Incorporation. The Articles of Incorporation is different from the bylaws, okay? Different from the bylaws. That just simply tells the state who the registered agent is. The registered agent is the person who's going to receive service. The name of the business entity, and how many stocks are going to be issued from this court, okay? Of course, there are filing fees with this particular business model, and there must be given an annual report every year to stay accurate with the state of Florida, okay? Now, the Articles of Incorporation is what you need to file with the state of Florida. The bylaws are similar to what we called earlier a partnership agreement. It's how we're going to run this business, right? But the articles of incorporation is what we need to file with the state to make ourselves a actual corp. Now, the C corp is subject to double taxation. Also, to protect the C corp from liability, the person must maintain the corporate books. I'm going to repeat that. The individual must maintain the corporate books. Or we have what we call piercing the corporate veil. Okay? The S corp. The S corp is not subject to double taxation. There's tax benefits to this. However, okay, with the tax benefits, only certain organizations can become an S corp. That means if you're a legal resident or a U.S. citizen. So foreign companies do not apply. Do not apply to this. Also, there has to be greater record keeping. Otherwise, it'll default to an S corp, and then they'll be subject to double taxation. Requires filing with the state of Florida to be valid as well. And of course, if the corporate books are not maintained, it is subject, and the shareholders of this corporation and possibly the directors and possibly the officers are subject to personal liability, okay? The LLC. The LLC is what is becoming the more popular business entities because you get essentially some of the benefits of a corporation, but you don't deal with the maintenance and upkeep of a corporation, right? It requires the filing of the articles of organization. Also, you must file an annual report with the state of Florida. And this is managed by members. And those members, if we have the corporate books maintained and kept properly, members are not liable for debts, obligations, or other liabilities solely because they are acting as a member. However, the distinction here, if it is something that is an intentional tort or is like assault, battery, defamation, things like that, then we might be able to pierce the corporate veil and hold you as the member liable, personally liable for the debt, liability, etc. So it's not a blanket, you're washed from your sins. Okay? It's not a blanket, it's not that. Okay? It's just saying that if you do all this, maintain your corporate books, that means keep your finances separate, guys. Separate. That means if you have a business that's an LLC, you need to have a trust for that business. A trust for that business. You need to have personal bank accounts for that business. You need to keep all your business records separate so there's no confusion, or we can pierce the corporate veil and hold you personally liable. And that goes for the corporations as well, okay? The importance of choosing the correct entity. We need to make sure that on the onset that this business entity that you're choosing is going to be great for future growth. You don't want to get so deep in the business and then you're expanding faster than you thought. And now you have to rush and work hard to essentially catch up. And you're in the midst of maintaining your business. And then it causes more issues. 2, depending on what organization you choose, it can have serious tax, legal, and early stage investment implications. Also, common recommendations might not be the best for you. So in other words, the default someone may be telling you is, hey, you should be an LLC because that's where it's at. But the LLC might not work for your business because, hey, you just want to be an individual that sells out of your home for a virtual office. You have no plans on having employees, and you believe that you have regular insurance to shield you from any personal liability from this business. So you feel like, I don't need to do an LLC, right? It ensures that the business is conducted through a legal entity once formed and not an individual founder or a third party. So in other words, if you are conducting business, you are doing it under your legal name, and that protects you from liability. I cannot stress that enough, guys. Avoid, and also choosing the right entity avoids exposing founders to personal liability, and especially this applies to general partnerships, and like I said earlier, the possibility of piercing the corporate veil. Okay? Now I'm going to note here. While I understand that what I'm saying is overwhelming, it may be a lot of information to take in. This information is important because I really want to help you guys protect yourselves from exposing yourselves to liability unnecessarily, okay? Okay? It's very important that you don't enter the wrong entity. It might start off as an innocent business between you and your friend. It might grow and expand, and boom, all of a sudden you're a multi-million-dollar business and don't know how you got there, but you're still a general partnership. Someone gets sick or there's an issue, and now you are being held personally liable for this. I don't want that for you guys, okay? So please get with a lawyer to iron out the details of your business, okay? Some of you might not need attorneys right now. Some of you might just can handle just being a sole proprietorship. But of course, it's better to be safe than to be sorry later, okay? Other considerations. You need to protect the name and use of your brand logos and domain name. And also, it protects your company's rights to use trade designations. So, in other words, someone cannot rip off your unique design that you worked so hard on for your personal business. Joe Blow can't come down the street and say, hey, I really like the idea that he came up with. I'm going to take that for myself. No, this shields you, okay? So these are things to consider as well. I'm not going to go into this in this video. I might do that for another video upon request, but that is essentially what is it, okay? Checklists and to-do lists for your business. Now, this is very important because this is going to go with the worksheet, okay? 1, I want you guys to clearly write out what type of business this is and the mission statement of this business. So why are you in business? What's the business about? Are you buying and selling? Or are you giving services? Write it down. Are you planning on to expand your services? Expand your product? Write that out, okay? Are you for profit or not for profit? Depending on if you're for profit, there might be a whole different type of articles that you might have to essentially do. What are your plans for the future? In other words, are you planning to be a small business or grow? Do you anticipate employees? If so, how many? Are you prepared to give them workman's compensation insurance? Are you aware of the discrimination laws related to businesses? Make sure you know these things, guys. Make sure you ask your lawyer these things. Are these employees independent contractors? Or are they regular employees? What's the laws in your state require if they are independent contractors versus whether they are regular employees? And what's the distinction between the two? Have you trademarked your logos, designs, and intellectual property? Like I said earlier, you don't want Joe Blow to rip off your grand idea. I need you guys to write out the roles and responsibilities, including day-to-day operations of the business, okay? I need you to also to think about how specific key decisions are made for your business. If there's a dispute, how is it resolved? Who makes the final decision? Who's the deal breaker? Things like that. Address the possibility of a founder's exit from the business and how that affects your business model. Like I said earlier, I'm just scratching the surface of these business models. Of course, if this course does take off, I'm going to expand on this. This is my very first video, and this is the early planning stage, okay? But this is things you need to consider. And lastly, but not least, are you keeping business and personal accounts separate? This is the quickest way to get yourself personally liable for certain things, okay? Thank you guys for joining me today and choosing this course. I hope that it was informative to you. I hope that you learned a lot. And I hope you refer this to your friends. I really appreciate your time and your business. Again, I am so sorry if my lisp or the way I speak get on your nerves, but hopefully it was get some good information for you. And I hope that you guys come back, okay? Have a very great day, guys.